All right, it is a Thursday afternoon. The Audible is on the air. It's a playoff week for the Dolphins. Dolphins and Pittsburgh Steelers Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock. Going to be a little chilly there. They say it's going to be in the teens, the high of 19. So Sam Madison joined me for the show here. Sam,
good luck, buddy.
Woo. Anyway, you're watching the Audible presented by our good friends at Aquafina. If you want to get your questions in and you're watching us on Periscope, you can go ahead and send your questions in. Just hashtag the Audible via Twitter. You can see us on a rebroadcast of the Miami Dolphins Facebook page beginning tomorrow morning. And you can see us, as always, on MiamiDolphins.com. Sam, the weather conditions are just one thing that this football team has to worry about going into Pittsburgh. But when it gets to, it's easy to say, oh, look, we've played in cold weather. But when it gets down to the teens, supposed to be a lot of wind, 15, 20-mile-an-hour winds. Going to be a rough afternoon out there, a rough afternoon for the Dolphins. How do you think they adapt to those conditions? Or, Sam, is it just one of those situations where, hey, look, it's one game, get in there, get it done? You can say all you want. That cold weather is going to affect you one way or another.
Yeah, it's definitely going to affect you. And then, you go back, you had a couple of games where you went to the Jets and they played extremely well in the cold, as well as going to Buffalo as well. But now you talk about playoff implications. You're going against a very physical football team, whether it's special teams, offense, and the defensive side of the ball. Throwing the ball is going to be a problem. There's going to be ball security, even punting and kicking the ball, a lot of different things. So you have to get your mind just wrapped around it, Kim. You played in it multiple games, multiple times. It's not going anywhere, but yet and still the game has to be played. It's going to be played, and we're expecting this football team to go up there and compete the way that they competed against the Pittsburgh Steelers down here. The weather conditions, it is what it is. You just got to go out and you have to perform at a high level because guess what? It's the playoffs.
Yeah, it's one and done, man. You don't get it done. It's the offseason. That's the one thing about the NFL. The offseason comes on you real fast.
Real quickly.
If you're in the playoffs and you don't get to the big game, all of a sudden you kind of come in the locker room and you go, I got no practice tomorrow.
Nothing.
This one's over with, and then you move on. So that's what the Dolphins are up against this weekend.
And you never really look forward to it either.
No, absolutely not. No, you keep expecting you make plans to come back and start practicing the next week.
Definitely.
And the carpet gets pulled out from under you.
Then you got to start packing those boxes.
That's exactly it. Hey, I know everyone wants to know Ryan Tannehill, what happened with him at practice today. For the second straight day this week, he did not practice, so it looks like he is out for the football game. Matt Moore will get the start. Ryan Tannehill will continue to rehab and see where it goes. Hopefully the Dolphins get a win, and then they'll have to wait until next week to see what happens with Ryan. And Sam, I'm on the side of this whole thing that says, hey, if there's any chance that Ryan injures that knee further, makes it worse than it is right now, I don't even think it's worth the risk of putting him in there.
And for me, just the progress that he's made under Adam Gase, I want to continue to see that growth. I don't want him to go out there because when you go and you look at the way that these teams are going to be playing, we already talked about it. It's do or die.
Yeah.
And these football teams, they're trying to get to that ultimate goal to host that trophy up, and they're going to be going 100%. When you have an injured person on the football field, it seems that it gives you a little bit more momentum and a little bit more incentive to get after the quarterback, wide receiver, defensive end, no matter what it is. So I wouldn't want to put Ryan back there and put him in a situation to where he can further injure that knee. I like the things that I was able to see throughout the course of the season with him, and I'd rather him to come back 100% healthy, and then we go on and take this thing a little bit further than we. Who knows where we can go this year?
Hey, you feel bad for Ryan because everything that he's accomplished this year, you would certainly like him to get the opportunity to start in his first playoff game, but it's going to be Matt Moore that's going to get his first playoff start. But Ryan certainly deserves it. But you know what? I think he would agree too. You look at it, and for the risk of that and maybe having to go and have surgery if something happens, now who knows? Maybe
it takes a little bit longer.
Maybe you're out for the first quarter of next year during the season, and so it's kind of like that. One step forward, two steps back. Right. I would just be happy to see Ryan healthy when OTAs start, so he can get it all. And if he could progress as much between this year and next year as he did from last year to this year, I think that's what every Dolphin fan should be looking at for Ryan Tannehill right now in the situation that he's in right now. As difficult as it is for him, and it really is difficult it is for the football team to look and have the guy that's done so much for him this season not be able to go out and play. But look, he's going to be sitting next to a handful of other guys that are in the same boat.
That's definitely in the same boat. And then one thing that it also does for you, you look at the wide receivers and the plays that they made this year, and they've been all the different talk of Ryan over the last couple of years, not being able to do this, not being able to do that. Yep. He's been able to do a whole lot, and these wide receivers like, oh my God, he spread the ball out throughout the course of the tight ends, the wide receiver. Everybody has the opportunity to make big plays. We don't really know who's going to be here, who's not going to be here next year, but as a wide receiver on the outside looking in, understanding this Adam Gase offense and looking at the big play capabilities that you have, I'm, as a wide receiver that's on the market, I'm sitting here and saying, hey, that's a football team and it's on the move in the right trajectory. I'm trying to go and play with Ryan Tannehill and that wide receiver core down there under Coach Adam Gase.
Yeah, and Sam, you know how it is in free agency these days. Guys talk. Yep. Hey, what's it like? Hey, I got to call, man. I'm thinking about maybe Miami. What's it like down there? Call one of your buddies, and they say, you know what?
80 degrees all year long.
80 degrees all year long. This guy's a good coach.
Yeah.
Got his head in the right direction. We believe in the guy, and that could go a long way for guys during that free agent. Let me go over the whole injury report for you. We talk about Ryan Tannehill. I'll repeat to you, didn't practice again today for the second day this week. Looks like he will not play in the game. Matt Moore will get the start. I don't expect that to change. I don't expect anything there to change between now and game time. Jelani Jenkins practiced. He was limited for the second day this week. Not sure what his situation is going to be. Tony Lippett, who took a big shot in the middle of the field last week, has practiced at full speed in both practices, so he should be good to go. Byron Maxwell didn't practice. He's not going to play on Sunday. Bakari Rambo didn't practice yesterday, was limited today, so he's moving closer towards playing.
Yep.
Ryan Tannehill, we talked about him. Craig Urbick, who's got a little knee injury, he's practiced full both times. So that's the extent of the Dolphins injury report. And really, you've got what you're getting out of is Byron Maxwell and Ryan Tannehill aren't going to play on Sunday. Now let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not going to go through the whole list. Anthony Chickillo didn't practice for the last 2 days. He probably is not going to play. Safety Robert Golden was limited today. He didn't play yesterday or didn't practice yesterday, so he looks like he's headed toward getting out there and playing. Ricardo Matthews, defensive end, hasn't practiced in either one of those days, so he's probably going to be doubtful going into that game. D'Angelo Williams missed yesterday or didn't practice yesterday but was back today. That was a non-football type of a thing. And linebacker Vince Williams didn't practice in either one of the 2 days, so he probably won't play in the football game. But, Sam, this is at this time of the year, it's not about the guys that aren't playing. It's about the guys that you're going to line up, whether they're first team, second team, third team, whoever they are. If you just picked them off the trash heap a week ago and they got to line up and play. But it's one of those games. And fortunately for the Dolphins, somehow, some way, Sam, and maybe you can tell me, on the backside of this defense, from the linebackers to the defensive backs, with so many injuries, right now you're going to this game with two starters in your linebacking core and in the secondary, if you count Lippett as a starter and Kiko Alonso as a starter. How has this team been able to manage and get the job done with missing so many guys on the backside of your defense?
I think early on in the season is what really has gotten this football team to the position that they're in now. You saw early on guys were being interchangeable for as being in the nickelback position, at the cornerback position. Vance Joseph trying to really establish who was going to be that number one corner, who wasn't, who can we roll in there. Now all of a sudden when you get to the thick of the season, right in the middle, you have to put guys in there and they have to get a little bit of the playing time because of injuries, guys going in and out of the lineup. So Coach Gase pretty much trying to find out those players that he can depend on a regular in game situation. Having an opportunity to put these guys in the game throughout the course of the season, I think this is what really helps a lot of football teams. We always talk about depth going on throughout the course of a season. This is when that depth really comes to fruition, because now it's going to be some injuries like there is now. Somebody's going to go out. So having the opportunity to step in during some games early on in the season, this is where that depth really helps a football team get to that next level once you get into the playoff, because there's going to be some nicks, there's going to be some bruises, and there's going to be some guys missing. And we always talk about this, next man up. Be out throughout the course of the season, practices, getting better, understanding the defense, and then going out there and execute it. This is what it's all about. By the time you get to playoff time, being able to rotate anybody into the lineup, and you still get the very good production.
Yeah, and unfortunately, but fortunately for this football team, with a number of injuries, they've had a lot of backups come in and get a lot of experience, get a lot of snaps, a lot of downs in some critical situations. They've been there, they've seen it, they've done it, and so that certainly helps you with that experience going in. As you said, it strengthens your depth throughout with having, you don't want to go in that situation. But look, you look around the National Football League, Sam, there's 6 teams left playing in the AFC, 6 teams left playing in the NFC right now, and you know what? They're all banged up. They're all shorthanded, but they got here, and now it's what you can do over this next 3 to 4 week period to see where you go. Hey, you're watching the Audible here. If you're watching us on Periscope. If you got some questions, go ahead and send them in to Sam and I. We'll answer your questions starting here after this little break. Just hashtag the Audible, and we'll go ahead and get to you. You can also watch us on the Miami Dolphins Facebook page when we rebroadcast tomorrow morning, and on MiamiDolphins.com. All right, let me see where we're at here. At Nathan and Megan's mom. Do you think the media will ever give Miami the respect I think they've earned? I think this is a football team that's been in the doldrums for so long, Sam, that even from a national standpoint, it's got to be, hey, you got to prove it to these guys. You got to prove it over the long haul. Look, if the Dolphins were able to go into Pittsburgh this week and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think their national respect would go up dramatically. And if they go further than that, but I think that's what it's going to take for this football team, because they've been so far out of the national spotlight for so long that sometimes you got to get that light a little brighter before that national media really jumps on the bandwagon. But I know this. You look at the what do you call them? The power rankings.
Correct.
And Dolphins are in the top 10 in the power rankings, in all the different power rankings that I've seen. So that in itself is a form of respect from people around the country.
And then it all goes down to star power in the NFL. Yes, you hear Ndamukong Suh names brought up all the time. Yes, you're hearing Jay Ajayi, but you go through this roster and you look at the young players. We still have one of the youngest football teams in the National Football League. So guys not making those explosive plays on a regular and consistent basis. You have the Cameron Wakes of the world, the guys that's continually putting the pressure on the quarterback. And this is what it boils down to in the National Football League. Guys going out there making those explosive plays, and now that brings the notoriety to the team as well, on top of the wins that you're getting. But because this football team is so young, and you look at the power rankings that we're talking about, you don't have those big explosive plays. You look at the defense when we're talking about giving up a whole lot of yards, but forget about it. We're still winning football games. They look at that as a shortcoming to your end of your season, because maybe you're going to get knocked out, and they're looking ahead to the other teams and the depth that they have. So once again, it comes back down to it, having that depth, that star power, and then the players to go out there and make those explosive plays on a consistent and regular basis, something that we've been talking about since day one around. Here's
another reason. How young is this football team? I saw a stat yesterday, 40 players on the Miami Dolphin roster have zero playoff experience. None. So, you can see the youth on this football team. But look, youth's not always a bad thing.
It's not.
Because it gives you, you got a group of guys you can grow with, and there's certainly value there. All right, at Johnny College 97, where do we need to improve in the draft this year? I think the draft for this football team is going to be key, because I don't think they're going to go out this year, Sam, and spend big money.
No.
They're not going to go out and buy an Ndamukong Suh. They've already paid Ryan his big money. They're not going to go out and sign somebody to some massive contract and bring him in. What I'm hoping they do is re-sign the guys that they want to keep, the Kenny Stills, the Andre Branches, the guys that have really deserve to stay here and I think want to stay here. Pay them up, but I think that's where the draft is going to be ultimately important to this football team. Sam, I look at this football team right now, and I say through 3 rounds of the draft, I'd like to come out. I would use a first-round pick to get a big middle linebacker, big, strong, playmaking middle linebacker, like the kid from Michigan or one of those kids from Alabama. That type of guy to fit in, because you put a guy like that next to Kiko. Kiko's game improves because he doesn't have to worry about many. Kiko's out there like a kindergarten teacher, man. He's, hey, get off that thing, get over here. He's working. So I like to see that. I wouldn't mind seeing. And look, you can never have enough corners in this league. I wouldn't mind seeing another corner come in, and I wouldn't mind seeing him go and get another offensive lineman. That's my wish list for the draft going into this year. You got another checklist
What
there for
you was
me?
peeking through my window looking at my list, man. That's exactly the same thing for me. You know, playmaking linebacker for me has been, you know, for the last couple of years, because now you have somebody in the middle. You have to drop Rashard Jones down in the box on a regular, consistent basis. Hopefully he comes back and play lights out like he started at the beginning of the season. And like you said, it takes that pressure off of Kiko. Kiko, far as having to get everybody lined up, understanding the guys that he's going to play with, and still having to understand the Vance Joseph defense. He's going to have a year under his belt. He's going to understand the guys in front of him now. And now when you have a playmaking linebacker right next to you that can make all of those same adjustments, and you don't have to do it all, it makes your game a little bit easier.
I see that big linebacker that steps in and fills holes, makes plays at the line of scrimmage. Kiko can go sideline.
He can go sideline to line.
Yeah, I think one guy in that position improves two players for
Definitely.
you. And so I like that. So that's kind of what I think draft-wise this year. At HMALPA. That's got to be like a last name or something. But H Malpa, there you go. That's what I thought it was, H Malpa. I just couldn't get it to come out of my. But thanks, Leon. I appreciate that helping me like that. How do we slow down Le'Veon Bell? That's a tough question. Here's a 1,200-yard running back. Here's a guy that catches the ball extremely well out of the backfield. And Sam, I think this football, I really think this game, especially with the conditions, weather conditions, and Sam, you've played in that football field.
Yes.
You've played at Heinz Field late. It's that sandy kind of a base, and at this point of the season, that field is going to be in horrendous shape.
It's going to be terrible.
It is going to be terrible. So I think this game is going to come down to, and you're kind of talking about Le'Veon Bell. I think whoever has the most yards rushing between Le'Veon Bell and Jay Ajayi, that football team may win this game, because I think it's going to be that type of a football game. One of those, slug it out and knock people down and just try three downs in a cloud of dust and see if you can get the job done. I just don't see it being, especially with heavy winds, cold weather, being one of those
30,
aerial games.
Yeah, definitely. And Coach Tomlin remembered the last football game that we played, and Jay Ajayi tallied over 200 yards rushing, and guess what? Le'Veon Bell didn't. He only had like 10 attempts for like 50-something yards. He's going to come back. He want to give that ball to Le'Veon Bell, let that big offensive line, continue to sustain the line of scrimmage, and then let Le'Veon Bell pick and choose his running lanes. Very shifty, very aggressive style running back. He's swift on his feet. 94 targets coming out of the backfield. So little small dump passes, screen passes. This is what the Pittsburgh Steelers like to do. The things that we saw on Sunday versus the New England Patriots, getting the ball out into space, look for those little quick screens as well to get the ball out there, and just let those wide receivers get the ball, tuck it away, and get as many positive yards as possible. But Coach Tomlin, the head coach, from the last game that we played, I think that he has a sour taste in his mouth because we came out and we were the more aggressive football team. He want to come back and he want to prove that he's the most aggressive football team in the AFC East. Look forward to running that
Pittsburgh
ball.
Pittsburgh for years have lived off being a physical football team, and there's no question the Dolphins out-physicaled them down here in South Florida. So, it's going to be that type of thing. Hey, you're watching the Audible here. You're watching us on Periscope. Send your questions in through Twitter, #TheAudible. See us tomorrow on a rebroadcast on Miami Dolphins Facebook page and on MiamiDolphins.com. At Pretty Fly Guy, do you think we can really put up a fight? I don't think there's any question in my mind the Dolphins will put up a fight in this football game. They've made a maximum effort in every game they've played this year, and that's you're going to attribute that to the players. You're going to attribute that to the coaching staff. Effort has not been an issue,
not at all,
on this football team. But I'll give you this: they've got to tackle a hell of a lot better this week than they did last week, especially early in that game against New England. New England got way too many yards after missed tackles, after all those types of things that really hurt the Dolphins. If the Dolphins want to come away with this thing and make it a fight, they've got to tackle better. There's no question about that.
Definitely, especially when you get on the edges, because now you have to hold your position. And we saw a couple of times guys sticking their head into somebody else's gap, and then all of a sudden the ball was able to get outside and bounce. This is what Le'Veon Bell does best. He is that guy that's going to set you up, and then utilize his speed on that slippery field to try to get on the outside where we haven't been very good in the tackling position. But when you talk about this football game, it's going to come down to tackling. Even if on the defensive side, for as the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to have to tackle Jay Ajayi. It's going to be the same exact thing, and it's not like their running game has been shored up over the last couple of weeks as well. So we're going to put some pressure on those guys as well. But I think we still have a fighting chance if we come out and we're able to run the ball. And now that you tell me that Craig is healthy. Guess what? We always brought in an extra offensive lineman over the last 5 or 6 weeks. This could help us to start that running game going and keep us on a positive track. Whereas last week you heard Coach Gates talking about we got behind the sticks, and now it's going to be really tough. Talk about the wind, talk about the rain, talk about everything else. You want to be ahead of the count versus behind.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you look at this Pittsburgh defense, they put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Most of their pressure comes from their linebackers.
Yes.
Ryan Shazier, Lawrence Timmons, James Harrison. Those are the guys that are really doing it. And you look at Ryan Shazier, I think he leads the team with 3 interceptions.
Yes.
And they're a ball hawking football team. Those linebackers are going to be key for the Dolphins offensive line to try to get helmets on those linebackers, not give them free run at Matt Moore. Because Matt Moore, the one thing about Matt Moore in there, he's not as elusive as Ryan. He can get out of the pocket. We've seen him get out of the pocket and make some things happen, but certainly not to the level that Ryan Tannehill was when he was in there. All right. At Philip A. Hernandez, what's the stat? Oh, wait, we have one here. Fins up to 2016. We need Maxwell this weekend. We're not going to have Maxwell this weekend. At Philip A. Hernandez, what's the status on Jelani Jenkins? He's getting closer. He didn't practice yesterday. He practices today on a limited basis. I would say his status for Sunday right now would be what? Probably 50-50 maybe?
50-50.
50-50 at best. Here's a guy we haven't heard from in a while, King Edlin. Talk about the importance of the running game in freezing temps. We talked about that a little bit with not only the temperatures, but how tough that field is, the footing on that field,
and the wind.
I think this game may last 2.5 hours. Because I just don't think it's going to be an abundance of running of throwing the football. It's going to be a big running game. So I think the importance of running the running game
so that
is
clock
paramount.
is going to stay on the move.
Yep, no doubt. At Black Man Game, what's the main difference between Urbic and Steen on the offensive line? Well, Steen is basically a rookie. He's been in the league for 2 years, but I think he was on a practice squad last year. He just came out of Alabama. Doesn't have as much experience. Urbic is a bigger guy, stronger guy, and he's got a lot more experience. And I think that's the difference. I think with Anthony Steen actually, when he started playing well. The more he played, then guys started to figure him out.
Correct.
And I think all the things, all the changes, all the calls, all the line calls, and all the finding people. I think all that kind of got into him, and it just took his attention away. So
correct.
I think all that thing happened. But Steen did a great job when he's in there. But Urbic provides you a bigger guy with more experience. Boss 610, Sam and Ken, tell us what young rising defensive coaching stars would you pair with Gaze? I don't care about any young defense coaching stars. I want to keep Vance Joseph right here.
Definitely, man.
Vance is seems to be on everybody's list.
Right.
There's, I think, 5 teams out there now that are looking for head coaches. Vance seems to be on everybody's list. I'm hoping he stays for another year. I kind of have a feeling that he is much like Adam Gase was 2 years ago, where he was on everybody's list, but he needed maybe one more year to get over the hump. And look, maybe that's selfish on my part for Vance Joseph, but I'd like to see him stay here for another year and see what he can do with his defense for another run.
And even when you look at this defense and what he inherited, you have a wide receiver that's transformed over to cornerback. Then you have a young line nickel cornerback. Then you have a rookie. Then you have a guy that come in, that's making a whole lot of money. He was only in a position to make a lot of plays when he came. And I'm talking about Maxwell when he came from Seattle. You had to transform all of these different bodies into getting them to understand your scheme and get them to play. That's the part that I really like. Listen, he stuck to his guns. He worked his tail off with each and every last one of these guys. And to this point, they've gotten better. And that's what everybody around the league is looking at for as a quarterback, as a coach, as a coordinator. How did he get these guys to do that? When we was looking at him and saying, "Oh, we're going to exploit this player, that player, that player," and you would, yes, they gave up a couple plays here and there, but look, he has his football team in the playoff, and that's why a lot of the organizations around the National Football League is looking at Vance Joseph the way that he is.
I don't think anybody that knows or has watched or been around Vance Joseph questions that he's going to be a good head coach in this league at some point. And again, from a selfish standpoint, I hope it's a little later down the road.
Definitely.
And we get to keep him here for a little. Not that and the fact that he's really a good guy and enjoy having him around. Here's another Twitter question. Bo, they're trying to freeze the fish this weekend. How do you stay warm? Bro, let me tell you what. You can try, and you can try, and you can try. I've put red pepper in my socks. I've tried everything you can imagine. I wore what do you call them, pantyhose at one point. I've tried everything, and let me tell you what. There is no way you can go out there and stay warm. None.
It's amazing.
It's impossible.
But the most important parts is keeping those fingertips and those toes. If you can do that, you'll be successful out there. But when you're standing there and you're standing in slush and you take a step to your right, take a step to your left, and your shoes get soaked, then everything goes out and winning. You can't just run back inside, Bo, because we're looking for all those updates from the sideline, buddy.
When we used to get Coach Show, hey, don't get too bundled up. I don't want you stiff out there. You need to don't get too much stuff on you. And then you go out there and look on the sideline, and he looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy over there. He had everything on you. You go, Coach, I'm freezing out here, man.
And then when you get ready,
you're all right.
And then when you get ready to come to the sideline, everybody else is on the bench like, man, you better move out of the way. Get out of the way. Let me get a little bit of this warm.
Man, I tell you what, now they got those hot benches.
We had the hot benches, baby. Man. Sometimes you got to put some towels on there because they were too hot.
On these cold games, I sit on the bench at halftime. I'm sitting there going, "Ooh, man, this is a little toasty."
A little toasty, man.
But hey, if you want to stay warm, don't play in the game. Sit on the bench, and that's how you doing.
Definitely. But I want to be in the game.
D Dalton, Sam, that shirt is popping.
Thank you,
no
sir.
question. Just trying to give you a little compliment. Just trying to throw a little something your way.
Good. Yeah, I've been working out a little bit, so it's a little snug. But
let me see. Let's see what you got there.
No. I'm just joking. No working out for me.
Grand Oh, look at Trey. Look at Trey. Trey busting out some bicep shots in there. Huh? He been on the rack. He on the power rack. Trey got biceps about what? What was about 15, 16 inches? Yeah. Yeah, and your legs are about 3 inches around. That's all you got down there. He's one of those guys sits at the curl bar.
At the curl bar. Right.
Haven't lifted on his legs in a day. Grad 06, will national media finally give Miami credit if they win? Yeah, I think the Dolphins,
they will.
Dolphins win this game. All of a sudden, you're past that wild card round. There's 4 teams left, and you're in there. You're going to get the attention.
And even the current, even the former players looking at this football team is like, hey, I really like Miami. It's just everybody's like, as far as a player looking at just the way that the energy is of a football team, there are some national media guys former players that's looking for the Dolphins to go in there and have a good game.
Look, they're getting a lot more respect now than they have in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's just not to the level that look, you get there, you get there and do it for 6 or 7 years, and you get all the national media
all you want
all
the time.
The other thing is, Sam, I always look at what the league thinks of your football team based on the time your games start.
Correct.
If you're playing all 1 o'clock games, they ain't thinking too highly of you.
Not too much.
If you play like 2 or 3, 4 1 o'clock games early in the season,
right?
And then next thing you know, you're playing prime time, 4 o'clock
Sunday night,
games, Sunday night, Thursday night. That's when you've caught into the mainstream at that point.
Yeah.
So that's a good. You look at the Dolphins' schedule this year. Look at what times they play, and then you'll kind of get a feel for what people think within the league about this football team. At Scooby Fins Up, what are the defining factors that will help lead the Dolphins to a win? We talked about tackling, certainly on the defensive side. Offensively, what are your thoughts on what has to happen for the Dolphins to put the Steelers on their heels? And what I think they have to do is control the clock in the game.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Control the clock, stay on the football field, move the chains, continue to get first downs after first downs, and let those yards just add up. then that's going to put the Pittsburgh Steelers in a position where they have to try to make a big play. And now you're going to have to really just go out there, limit Le'Veon Bell to those explosive runs, and don't allow Antonio Brown to have game-changing plays, because he could take a 0-yard catch and then turn it into an 80-yard big play, and now that's going to give that energy in that stadium. We don't want those guys.
Last week what Julian Edelman did with that 70-yard.
Same exact thing. You don't want those terrible towels to start flying around in Heinz Field, because now it's going to put our offense at a disadvantage, because they're going to be loud, they're going to be screaming. This is what home and field advantage is all about, having your fans on your side in tough conditions, and now you get the benefit of the doubt.
No question. El Chapo Jr., Bo, what was your favorite JT moment, and what's his Hall of Fame chances? Well, if you didn't know, Jason Taylor yesterday was put on the final. What's it, 10? 15 guys. Yep. So he moved to the finals.
Yes.
The Hall of Fame.
First ballot.
They'll name the Hall of Famers the day before the Super Bowl. Saturday before the Super Bowl, we'll find out. Does what I think his chances are? I think Jason's going to be in the Hall of Fame at some point. First ballot Hall of Famers, that's a pretty rare situation. Not rare, but it certainly says a lot about you if you're a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think Jason might make it. I think he may make it on his first ballot. You look at what he did. You look at all the things that he was able to do. So he asked for what my favorite JT moment is. I think my favorite moment from JT, and then look, certainly what he had, 9 touchdowns, bunch of interceptions, whatever.
Crazy.
Everything. He had fumble recoveries. Remarkable with this type of career this guy had. But I remember his last game. Picked up a fumble, ran it in. It was a touchdown, and then they took it away from him. I thought, hey, that's a perfect way to end a career right there.
Definitely.
For a career like he's had, to get a ball, to end up with a touchdown in his last game, that was my favorate moment. Then they took it down.
Yeah, they took it down.
It didn't last long. But,
and for me, I had plenty of them, but I just remember we were in a dogfight, with the Cincinnati Bengals. I guess it was Achilles Smith was the quarterback.
Up in Cincinnati.
Come around, strip, sack, fumble. He picks it up, then he runs it back. He's breaking tackles. He gets in the end zone. Because I'm down the field. I'm running. I'm like, what happened? All of a sudden, then I see him over there doing the Jordan symbol in the end zone. I was like, oh, my God. Then you go back and then you watch the film. You're like, man, how did he do this? So, but he had multiple, things that I can go back and talk about. And then just, for me, every game, after the punt, we will always walk to the end of the field. We'll do our high five, and we walked off. We came in 1997 together. I didn't finish my career here, but we still coach together and all those different things now. So have a whole lot of them, and I hope he's able to get in on the first ballot.
Certainly a deserving Hall of Famer. There's no question about that. It's just about him. Is it going to be this year or is it going to be next year?
Yep.
And look, I'm like you. I hope it is this year. I hope he gets in, and congratulations to him, even for being in the finals there.
Yep.
Vince Fan 89. Do you think Jenkins is the key to stopping or limiting Bell? Well, if Jenkins is the key, we got a problem, because I don't think he's playing this week. I don't think Jelani's going to play. At 58, Ronald Edwards. Do you think we go deep early and often? That's a thought. You take Matt Moore and say, hey, Matt, let's first down, let's do it. Let's go J.J. Second down, let's go J.J. Third down, let's play action and take it deep and see what they got going back there.
Yeah, definitely take it deep. I mean, what do we have to lose? I mean, the good thing is you're putting them back, and hopefully it's in a position where they're backed up, and now they'll be on their side of the football field. But, with the way that Devontae Parker's been playing, he used to playing into cold weather. He's from the University of Louisville, and that's where he's from. So cold weather all the time. So it's not really going to affect a lot of those players. I even look at Kenny Stills in the last few games. The cold weather doesn't seem to affect him. He's out there with no sleeves. So these football players, they're extremely tough, even though they're down here in Miami. But playing in other places and understanding cold weather and knowing the implications that this thing have, not only for the football team, but for you as a player as well, you want to go out there and put your best foot forward. So I'm looking for these guys to say, hey, coach, trust in me, believe in me, give me an opportunity, give me a chance, and I'll make a play for you. Just the way that Devontae Parker's been playing. They don't have the biggest wide receiver, even playing against Gay, another Louisville guy. Hey, under 5'10", I'll take a shot up top anytime.
Yep, Joey Bag of Donuts. Sometimes playoffs are won by unsung heroes. Who on the Dolphins is that player? Sam, who would you think would be the guy that you're not really thinking of right now that may jump up and make a big difference in this football game?
Gray. Tight end. I definitely think.
Me and you are in the same wavelength, man.
Listen,
I'm thinking to myself, Deion Sims and Marquise Gray. Those
for
are
sure.
two guys.
Listen, because those linebackers, they're upset with the things that Jay Ajayi did, and look, you know that Coach Gates is going to have some play action passes set up for those guys because they're really aggressive, and yet still these tight ends, they're shifty. There are some guys they're really shifty. Big Deion, he can go across the middle. He's not afraid anymore. The concussion protocol is behind him now, and he's been playing extremely well.
A very good receiver.
He's been very, especially in the middle of this defense when you have, just like the other guy said, we stretch it outside, and they like to run a lot of cover 3 coverages. Even though they'll throw that cover 2 in there, now they throw that cover 3, and you have the big guy running down the middle of the football field, even with their safety being banged up. Hey, anything can happen. I'm looking for one of those tight ends to have a big game.
That's it, Leon. Are we done here? No, we're done? That's it? Man, we could have gone for another half hour. But Leon's got to go home. Leon got to go. You got to go do some. You got to get some milk and. Oh, I got to have a couple cocktails. I got you, Sam. Always a pleasure, my man.
Thank you, man.
Hey, hopefully we get a chance to talk next week a little more about a win.
Let's do it
and see the Dolphins moving on to the next round.
Looking forward to it.
And throttle their tails.
And there you go.
New England.
Good, perfect.
How about that one? All right, that's going to do it for the Audible today. We will be back again tomorrow, 4:30. You can check us out right here. Have a good evening. We'll see you then.